Let's do it. Okay, so let's give people a few minutes to come on. So, while we're giving people a few minutes to come on, you said Rio. I mean Rio. You said Sao Paulo is like a ghost town.
Yes, São Paulo's been like a ghost town, I should say, since Saturday. Because I had to go out on Saturday. It was something that was scheduled about a month ago. A teacher from our school is going back to England, so we wanted to have a going away party in Liberdade of all places. So,
Oh wow. Uh
uh,
huh.
which is the Japanese Chinese area of the city. And man, like even from Butantan where I live, it was already real empty. Like I went to buy some water at a little padaria. Nobody in there. Metro's empty. Liberdade was totally empty. And we were worried. We were like, oh man, should we get a restaurant where we have a little private room? Should we find a restaurant that's outside? There was nobody in the restaurant except us. It was what, seven of us? And
Wow.
they were all giving us the evil stare. It was funny too. Have you ever gotten the evil stare from like old Chinese people?
I have. I
It was
have.
scary. Like we were paying. They were all on their phone looking at us like
That is hilarious.
on their phone. It was
So
yeah, it was
hilarious.
funny. And then I didn't go out. No, I went out on Sunday, but it was just around the neighborhood and there was nobody around because I'm trying to limit my contact with people, less for me, but more for other people. Because I think that's something that's important that people are missing is that you may be infected, you may be young, you may not be in the risk group, but
Hmm.
you can infect others, So it's best to try to. Oh, I forgot. I got to put on my earphones. It's best to try to mitigate that as much as possible, limit as much as possible, because of the other people you might infect. I don't know where my
True.
earphones are.
True.
I just had them near
I don't
me.
know, but I hear you fine. I don't think you need them. If you can
Okay. Oh,
hear.
I just found.
Well,
I
yeah.
just.
So I
I
see
just
people
got
are
it.
coming on. Let me just say hello. We're just kind of giving a couple people time to come on. Please, as you're coming on, say hello. Let us know you hear us fine. Say hi. Give us something. Give us a smiley face. We're going to be talking about really just a continuation from last week Monday on polyamory, polygamy, monogamy. And it's not to say that it's really one versus the other, even though I kind of put
No.
that in my thing. But like I put polygamy versus polyamory versus monogamy. But it's not really that. That was just the quickest thing that I could put to kind of get everything in there. So it's not to say that you have to be one or the other. Um, Relationships are fluid. So okay, got more people coming on. I see. So please say hello. Say, just let us know you're here, who's on while we're waiting. So Phil and I decided to do part two again because last week it was just so great and so many people had comments, people had things to share. So we kind of wanted to go in this week and just be a little bit more um like talk more about the definitions of each and just kind of dig deeper than we did last week since it was such a hot topic and it was just really good. So yeah, so we were just kind of talking a little bit about how it is right now in Sao Paulo. Phil was talking about how it was in Sao Paulo. And Rio is not a ghost town. Like here in Rio, but just because of the coronavirus, they are closing things off and they are recommending that people don't go to the beach, don't go to school. So I think it's going to be slowly kind of winding down a little bit. But I don't want to talk about that too much because we were just kind of talking about that while we were waiting for people to come on. So I don't know. What do you think? Should we kind of take it away or?
It's up to you. We can take it away. I hope a lot of people that have self quarantined are listening right now, and we'll have a good time. We'll take away your quarantine blues.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, because it's like we're people are gonna be stuck at home. So hopefully you can watch this. You're watching this and can have some fun and take your mind off of being in quarantine and being, in this
Yeah.
coronavirus.
And there's a lot of fun things though you can do while you are home.
Like Corona Sutra.
I love that post that you put. Yeah, there's Corona Sutra. I
Yeah.
know my favorite story out of all of them is how in Italy, Pornhub, like
Uh-huh.
the is it either Pornhub? I think it's Pornhub. They released their like they opened up their channel just in Italy, so everybody that's stuck at home, everybody, right? Like all
Right.
mostly all the men stuck at home can, make the time go by a little faster.
Yeah.
So I love that a
Yes.
lot.
So, women watch porn too, but
I
it is the
know they
majority of
do.
men. Yeah,
Yeah.
the majority of the men. But I do have to say one thing about porn. I don't specifically subscribe to porn, not because I think it's a bad thing, because I used to watch porn, but because what I have noticed since I've been working with Tantra is that so many people watch porn and they're so much into their heads and into the fantasy that when it comes to making love with their partner, it's hard for them to be present and in this moment to really connect to their partner. Then also when people are watching porn so much, you have an idea of what sex should be, and that's a false idea of what sex should be. It's not so realistic. And
Yeah.
so for women might be like thinking, oh, they need to have this huge type of orgasm like what they're seeing with people in the porn, or they're thinking, oh, I need to be squirting this way. This thing needs to make me do this, and that's just not realistic. So, so that's my thing on porn. I think it's great that in Italy this porn hub is opening up so people can watch porn, give them something to do. But I
Hmm.
also think that um, self exploration, connecting to your body, masturbating in different ways where you're actually like focused on your body so you could feel your body, feel what's going on. I think
There,
that's more
there's wait, there's a flying dildo that may come across the screen at any moment. So there's
important.
there's
That's
ways
funny.
to there's ways to enjoy yourself at home, and I totally am with you. You have to be conscientious when you watch porn. I mean, at least I try to be. Because the good thing about porn is that every once in a while you see something, we're like, wait a second, I should really try that. So when I do watch porn, it's like I have my little notebook out. I mean, but
Taking
because
notes.
yeah, taking notes because there's some stuff that you can kind of. It's almost like Kama Sutra. Like at some point people have written, "Hey, try this. It might be
Right,
more interesting than the missionary position." So yeah, I totally feel you, but I think that you can take a lot of positives out of porn if you know what you're watching. One, that you realize, just like everything, just like a Hollywood movie, like is a relationship really like any Hollywood movie? Come on, you watch it as a fantasy. You understand, Johnny and Sue aren't gonna fall in love for the rest of their lives after having a coffee at the local bakery. That's just not
right,
how life happens. But you can still kind of take some from it. So porn for me is like that. It can be an instructional manual. You see what you can do, what you can't do. After a certain age, you're like, maybe once is enough.
right.
But glad I tried it. So
Yeah,
there's many different ways to look at porn, but you gotta have your head on straight because it's
you do.
exactly like you said. You can totally get to an objectifying mode, and you talked a lot about women and what women kind of they think they're expected to do, but that's because of men. Because what men think that a woman is expected to do after she watches or after he watches porn, and he's like, oh, she's got to moan like this and I have to moan
Right,
like that and I gotta smack her like this. No, dude, you gotta be in the moment
right,
and have a conversation while you're having sex, which I don't know how many people do,
right.
but I like having conversations. Is this okay? Let's do this. Da, 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 da. I think it's much more enjoyable when you can be
Mhm.
open like that.
I agree. I agree. And I think that's so important to have the communication because, so many people do watch the porn and they think this is what's supposed to feel good. This is what's going to turn her on, or this is what's going to turn him on. And that's not necessarily the case. So whoever your partner or partners may be, it's
Hmm.
important, to have that communication. Say, hey, can we try something new? You try it. Well, how did that feel for you? How's this feeling? And then at any point saying, if this is uncomfortable, let me know and I can change. So communication is key. And I think, if you're trying different things, whether you're watching porn or whatever, it's important that you are conscious, you are present, and noticing how your partner is reacting, because that's a good way to know whether your partner is enjoying it or not. As opposed to thinking, "Ooh, I'm the man. I saw this on this porn show. I'm doing it," and she's like, "Oh, he's like, oh my god." So it's like, so it's like you really have to be present. You have to be able to check in and make sure that both of you are enjoying this and not just doing something that you think is what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly, exactly. And it's I think for people who aren't accustomed to that, it sounds strange, like talking during sex and asking, is this good or can I do this? But once you do it the first time, you see that it's so natural and it's so comfortable and it makes the sexual experience way deeper and way more fun. Even if you're just having a fling, it's not, this is not something that you do just when you're in a relationship. Hey, you want to go out on a Saturday night, get drunk, meet somebody, fuck? You can still do it and it's still enjoyable. And the sex lasts longer. It can even be a form of foreplay, the talking.
Hmm.
And I found that it's increased the sexual excitement for both parties. At least, I mean, I hope. But Renee, I'm sorry to bring this up, but I think we're kind of not intentionally segueing into our discussion because having these type of relationships, polyamorous, open, or even monogamous, is all about communication. I think
Right.
key. Is everything okay? Are we doing it right? Where do you want to take it? Because if you do not have that, you are screwed. Things will not work out majority of the time.
Right. And screwed, not necessarily in a good way.
Not
Oh,
necessarily. And by the way, tonight's broadcast from Sao Paulo brought by cheap Brazilian wine, but not
that
too bad.
sucks.
No, but it's actually
Really?
not bad. Yeah, it's not
I've
that bad.
never had it. I just don't drink Brazilian wine.
It's
So
most of it is crappy. I agree,
it
but this
is.
one's okay. This one's okay. I can deal with it.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know.
Mm.
But yeah, so I do want to say again that this is not saying I don't think either one of us is on here to talk about whether you should be in a polyamorous relationship or you should be in polygamous relationship or monogamous. No, it's just talking about these different things to kind of give you different ideas about what different types of relationships are out there. I don't necessarily have an opinion one way or the other. As a couples therapist, I work a lot with monogamous couples, but since I've been working with Tantra, I've been learning and meeting other types of couples, relationships, whether it's triads, polygamous, polyamorous. There's so many different ones out there, which has been a new adventure for me because I'm learning so much more, and it's been really really cool. And so again, I'm not an expert on polyamorous relationships or polygamous relationships, so don't take anything that I'm saying as gold, as this is what it is. I'm exploring and I'm learning, and I've been reading different things. So I just think that this is an interesting conversation because I remember having a friend of mine who was like having issues in her relationship with her husband, and they were talking about getting a divorce. And I said, well, why not? If, he keeps cheating on you, and that's the issue. Do you think that you could try seeing if you can both be in a polyamorous relationship? And I know other couples who that has worked for. Maybe might not work for you, and that's fine. Don't do it, but maybe that's something as opposed to getting a divorce trying that, and this was a friend, so I never did any couples counseling with them, but I did recommend that they do some counseling beforehand, and I don't think they it didn't work. So I was like, well, how about this? And so they weren't necessarily willing to try that either. But I do know other couples who were on the verge of getting divorced and they end up doing polyamorous relationships, and that saved their relationships, as well as other couples. I've had other couples who were on the verge of divorce who did tantric therapy with me, and that saved their relationship, and they didn't open up to being polyamorous, or. So there's different things, and I think that presenting these different options are good for people to see that there are many different options. So it's not one specific thing that you have to try and that's it.
Cool. And in a very non-judgmental way, I think that's what we tried to stress last week, and we want to stress this week. Not everything's for everybody, but if somebody mentions it or thinks, hey, maybe this is something I want to do, it's just another option. It's option B, option C, and you may be into it, you may not, but it's not the end of the world. So I think that's
Mhm.
important too, where we can make people feel comfortable in just admitting that, hey, maybe that's what I want. Maybe my
Mhm.
partner doesn't want it, which is cool. So maybe me and my partner aren't going to continue in this relationship, but there are other places that I can go to kind of enjoy this or explore this in a non-judgmental way. And it's, again, it's not for everybody. Some people are extremely happy monogamous with their little kids and everything, and good for them. It's just like there's people that are happy single, them
Mhm.
and their dog, and that's it. So it's just another option that is really um, becoming more and more popular. I don't know. Did you get that Rolling Stones article that I sent? And because it said here that it's estimated that 4 to 5% of people living in the United States are polyamorous or
Oh
participating
wow.
in other forms of open relationships, and 20% of people who have at least attempted some kind of ethical non-monogamy at some point in their lives. Still, it's remained unclear who exactly these people are and what drives them to forego traditional relationship structures. So that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah. And then there's that 20% number, which I found somewhere else. So that's a lot. And that's people that are willing to say so. So you have to count in the amount that just aren't willing to say so, which
Right.
I think would raise that number by at least another 4 or 5%. I think it's like the same thing with gays. They always say what gays
Mhm.
are 10%, 8%. I'm like, bitch, I don't think so.
How hard is
I don't think
that?
so. I don't think so. Like, I'm out there on the street. It's more than 10% of these motherfuckers that are gay. But the ones that are willing to say yes, I am, you get that number. So yeah, it's not something that's so out in the dark. I think in the
Mhm.
more the years pass, I think more and more people are willing to just say, hey, I'm not into traditional relationships.
Yeah. And I think we are definitely seeing more of that, like with the younger generation. Um, since I've been living here in Brazil, I've met a lot of friends, a lot of friends. Majority of my friends are like in open relationships, just basically non-traditional relationships. Majority. I've met so many people who are bisexual, transgender, fluid gender fluid. Um, it just really opened my horizons. That was not the corona. I felt something go down my throat. Liquid.
That's a nice mug, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice. Not mine. Wait, which way is the camera? There we go. Not mine.
Oh, it's
And
pretty. It's
I live in a
like,
Buddhist temple, so it's
oh,
there, and it's nice. So I am actually drinking some dandelion tea. Um, Dandelion has a lot of antioxidants and is really good for boosting the immune system. And I
hmm
got some honey infused with CBD. And so I have the honey infused with CBD and dandelion tea. This is my health drink right now. So with the whole, coronavirus, I'm definitely doing some things to boost my immune system. Eating, more vegetables and things like that, and
I'm
drinking
eating
more.
more vegetables. Also drinking more beer.
Alcohol will kill it for sure. So on my flight coming back to Rio, I was drinking some whiskey. I was like, let me get these hot toddies. Give me that whiskey, some hot water, some lemon.
I know they keep
So,
saying alcohol, alcohol. I think I misunderstood them. I bought a lot of alcohol. I bought the right alcohol.
right. So we got more people who came on. Please introduce yourselves. Last week,
Hello.
last week we were talking about the same topic: monogamous relationships, polyamorous relationships, polygamous relationships. We had lots of questions. It was great. People were coming on asking questions. Please ask what you want to know about relationships, about these types of different relationships, or just say hello. Let us know who's here watching. Say something. Say something. Ask something. So yeah. So um, I just found this to be such a great topic. I've been fairly monogamous most of my life, most of my relationships, and it wasn't until recently that I've explored polygamous relationships. I would not say that I a polyamorous relationship. I would not say that I am. I am polyamorous. I would say that depending on the person, depending on the energy, I can be monogamous. I could be in a polyamorous relationship. So it's fluid, and this is one of the things I think that relationships are fluid. And so there are some people who don't want to necessarily define what their relationships are or how they are in a relationship. And there's others who like to define. So there's no wrong way, there's no right way. It just what it is.
Yeah, and I think it's cool for us to get into that a little bit later when more people show up.
Mm-hmm.
Ways to broach the subject, I guess, to
Mm-hmm.
how to bring it up, and some guidelines of while you're in it, because I've been in both, and I think I'm more open to open, but I've also respected when I've been in a relationship that's not, and I can kind of do both. I think I'm happier when it's a little bit more open,
Mm-hmm.
but
And why is
there's
that? Why is it, why are you happier when it's open? Hi, Takia.
hello. Why am I happier when it's open? Um, Good question. I think I enjoy exploring sexual possibilities. Basically that. And it goes into something that I said last week, is that when it is open, it actually kind of makes me want to do it less. But it's so cool to have that option open, like
Mm,
it's there. But
yeah.
I'm just kind of like a free spirit when it comes into like sexuality and what we can and can't do. So I think I feel more open, even just to have a conversation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've dated some people where I felt nervous even just looking at somebody and saying, "Oh, that's a nice looking person." It could be a guy or a girl. And that, I mean, that just shuts down such a big part of me, because I can be in 100% monogamous relationship and look across the room and be like, "My God, that's a good looking motherfucker." And I like to share that. I like, "What do you think?" And then
Mm-hmm.
I like when there's that openness of like, "Oh my God, yeah, that's a good looking motherfucker." And then we don't have to, but
Right.
just the fact that it's open and you're not kind of
Mm-hmm.
shutting down part of something that I think is so
Mm-hmm.
strong, which is our sex drive. That's why I think I feel a little bit happier when I'm in a relationship where I can say, "Hey, if we want to go there, we can. We don't necessarily have to."
Mm-hmm. But I think that could also happen in a monogamous relationship. I have a lot of sexual energy, and I've been in relationships with people where I am like, "Ooh, look at her ass," or "Look at his ass, like he's beautiful," and
Mm-hmm.
and I say that, and I let my partner know, like, "Hey, I'm saying this, but it has nothing to do. It doesn't take away how I feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
I notice, and it doesn't mean I want to go out and fuck that person, but I can appreciate and I can notice when I see someone who's beautiful, And even if I'm just walking on the streets, I will come in, I'll go in and I'll say to somebody who's walking by, "Oh, you're beautiful," or "You're handsome," And it's not that I necessarily want anything, but I love when I can see someone who's beautiful, and just to be able to say that, and to share that. And so I think that that's something that can definitely happen within relationships as well. I
Mm-hmm.
have a girlfriend who's married, and she would do that with her husband. She would be walking in and she would say, "Oh, look at her ass, isn't that beautiful?" And the husband's like, "Oh yeah," and then they're both completely fine. No one is getting jealous or anything like that. So um, I think that that is possible in both types of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the communication, like what we were talking about earlier, and like what you were saying, I think that's so important. And I also think that not only communication, but being able to open up the line so that there's a lot of trust within your relationship. So if you have trust and communication, you should be able to be who you are, and be able to express yourself and not worry about hurting the other person or making the other person feel jealous, or getting into an argument. Now that might all sound better in theory.
That's what I was about to say because it sounds really great in theory. So that's one thing that if you are thinking of getting in any type of relationship like this, understand that it all sounds really damn good in theory. In practice, just be prepared for the worst. Expect the best, or expect the worst, prepare for the best. I don't know. I forget how that saying goes, but anyway, the it's a lot of twists and turns. Human relationships are like that. They're not black and white. So you may set up rules. You may feel like I'm gung ho and she's gung ho or he's gung ho, and we're all gonna just have a happy good time until the first night that you realize, hey, my partner just had sex with somebody else. Man, I mean, unless you're like a Vulcan, which by the way, this is the new coronavirus. Hello, live long and prosper. Uh, no, unless you've totally just shut down your feelings, you're gonna feel something. And then it just depends on how much you're able to mitigate that feeling and understand that that feeling's natural and kind of work through it. Again, have an open conversation about it. You get through it, and then you realize that, hey, it's actually strengthening our relationship in a way.
Hmm.
And because you do realize something, you realize that the person that you're primarily with, and this is more when we get into open relationships than polyamorous, but the
Hmm.
person you're primarily with has a connection with you that's deeper than just sexual. And
Hmm.
it's interesting, like you can go out, you can have sex with somebody and have like the best sex ever, have a good night. But what's cool is that after that feeling that you have of like, oh, but the person that's at home is like my real deal person. Like that's the one that I'm
Hmm.
really, 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 because there's something extra. You needed to get that sexual energy out. You needed to explore something that maybe you can't explore at home. But when you get home, you're like, hey, I understand why I'm with this person and not just, screwing everybody around the block. So it's weird. It's deep. Psychologically, it's really deep. I can't,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna fake it like I can explain it, but it's deep, but it can be very fulfilling and it can really strengthen a relationship
Hmm.
if you're willing to work through it. Like any relationship, even if you are in a monogamous relationship, no relationship is gonna be perfect, right? You know.
Right. And I think that's the key, like any relationship, whether it's monogamous, polyamorous, polygamous, is working through it, because emotions are going to come up. You're going to experience jealousy. You're going to experience different things. But then
Mhm.
how do you deal with it? How do you work through it between your partner or partners? And so I think those are just some really key things. Um, there's a pretty good book, apparently. I haven't read, but it's a book that most people apparently reads, that's going into the polyamorous community, called The Ethical Slut. And so a friend of mine actually gave me the book, and recommended that I read it, and it's on polyamory. But you know what? I haven't read it. I think now I'm gonna have more time with this whole, being on quarantine. So
Was
I
it called
think
The
I'll read the
Ethical
book.
Slut?
Ethical Slut.
The Ethical Slut, a practical guide to polyamory. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So apparently it's supposed to be really good. Um, so I would definitely say check it out. Check it out. I might be able to see if I can send it to you. I have the audio version. But so that's a good book that most people read when they're entering into this new type of relationship, just kind of learn different ways to handle themselves in a different situations. So let me write it in here in the comments book.
look at that. Millennials are increasingly embracing non-monogamous relationships, and the 1990s guidebook that helped popularize them is getting an update. Oh, so this is an old book from the 90s,
Yeah.
written in 94 by Janet Hardy. Oh, look at that. She was bedridden for a month with a bad flu that evolved into bronchitis, and then I guess she started thinking about this and wrote this book. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm reading that. There's a Rolling Stones article about it. Let me see if I can put it in the comments, and then people can check it out later.
That's
Let's see.
awesome. That's awesome.
There you go.
Oh, I think you sent that in a private chat.
Oh, wait
Then
up.
you put it in the main one.
Live comments. Oh, there's a live comments. I don't know how to do it then. I think you have to. I don't know if I can send comments. I think you have to. Oh, you know what I do? I can put it in the YouTube page. There you go.
Okay. Well, I just put it in the comments as well. So,
Oh, cool.
all right. So good, 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 good. Okay. So those that are on, please share, say hello, ask any questions you might have. Um, we're here and would love to be able to answer any questions or connect with you guys for anything that you might have to
Well,
say.
as we're waiting, something that's interesting here that I found was what females want, the real swingers
Mm.
of the animal kingdom. So,
Oh, uh, I looked at that.
yeah, so I think one of the things that's important for people when they're dealing with sexuality is, some of this stuff is natural. Some of it, I think, we learn through, culture, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it says that only 3 to 10% of mammals are socially monogamous. 90% of mammals
Mm-hmm.
have multiple mates.
Right.
Um, so it's a lot of animals that enjoy, and it's mostly the females that are getting it in, the queen
One time
bees.
for the ladies.
Yes.
Queen
So
V.
I know. They have, look, let me just give a quick rundown. We got the fire colored beetles that use a toxic substance as aphrodisiacs, and it entices the male, and then they comes in and he has sex with her, and then she has a bunch of eggs. So the female lightning bugs also flash their lights to attract the male. But there's always a problem with these stories is that as soon as the male comes in and has sex with them, they eat the males. Oh no, I'm sorry. Look, the falls come on as a trap. Any males of the other species that respond are eaten. So she likes to have sex with only her species. But if
All right.
another species come in, they gets eaten. The honeybee, obviously. So in hives, the female rules. So she's got a lot of mating flights when she's very young, and she can mate with anywhere from one to more than 40 drones.
Wow.
So yeah, when the queen flies by, the males mob her, deposit their sperm, and then subsequently die. Oh, this is not a happy story for me.
So,
Uh,
uh-huh.
Bonobos, they have a lot of sex. They have frequent sex parties with many partners. The bonobo chimpanzees, they frequently, creatively, and indiscernibly, invariably have variability in their sexual interactions. Both males and females mate with multiple partners to ease social tensions within the group and practice free love with bonobos of both sexes even while
Wow.
hanging upside down. I'm for the bonobos, which I heard. I read somewhere an article about the fact that a lot of people like to compare us to chimpanzees as far as
Mhm.
our closest relative, but the bonobos are the ones that we're actually we should be aspiring to because chimpanzees are actually kind of violent and very
Mhm.
hierarchical, uh, and they're not the apes we should aspire to be like. We should aspire to be more like bonobos and have sex hanging upside down. I'm
Yes,
for it.
I agree. I agree with that.
I'm 100% for hanging from the trees. Uh,
So it's interesting. Made me think about this book that I read. It's called "Secrets of the White Tigress," and it's about these secrets with these Japanese women, I believe, who were trying. They were doing different things to kind of live longer and to maintain their fountain of youth, their beauty. And so apparently these were like women in their 50s who looked like they were 15, 20 years old, really young. So what these women would do, they would find men, and they would perform oral sex on the men, but it was just to get their sperm. So the women would get their sperm, they would either drink it or they would take the sperm to put on their face, on their breast as a mask, because sperm has a lot of protein and
mhm.
nutrients in it. So it helped them to
Are you trying to tell people our secrets? Come on now. Don't 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 spill
yeah.
all the beans. Do not spill all the beans, please.
So it made me think about that. And then it's so funny because in that culture, no, this is not in Japan. This is in China. So the Chinese men um, would practice. They would try to practice sperm retention because when they lose their sperm, they lose energy. So this just I just thought about this when you were talking about the animals. Bonobo was it with the bonobos? The
Yeah,
bonobos. So then they would have sex and then they would. Yeah. So anyway,
to see
anyway,
tensions. Well, that's
yeah.
actually funny because I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called Doctor Strangelove. It's an old classic by Stanley Kubrick. And one of the guys, the movie is kind of a satire of, nuclear um, destruction, nuclear
Mhm,
war. And one of the generals, he talks about how he doesn't masturbate. And because
mhm.
it's the essence, he's like, I need to keep this essence inside me. But it's funny because the whole time he's like, so
Right.
he's got all this essence and he's sweating all the time, but he's like, I need to keep my essence inside me. So there's this idea that, keeping sperm inside you may keep you vital, but I don't know. I've read kind of the opposite, where it's kind of healthy for men to ejaculate um, as often as possible. So I don't know if it's
Also,
good to keep it all inside.
yeah, so this is the thing, right? It depends on what theory you're listening to.
Hmm.
So, and what, so when we're kind of going off the topic with this, but it's interesting. For men, if you're not doing anything with your energy and you're
Hmm.
not ejaculating, it is a problem. It can be worse. But if
Hmm.
you're going to practice um, sperm retention, then you need to be doing other stuff. You need to be subliming that energy, doing yoga, doing meditation, qigong. You need to do something with that energy so that it's not building up and become more harmful than not.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's not just practicing sperm retention and that's it, because you will have blue balls, you will be in pain, you're gonna be like, oh, ready to explode. So and we don't want that. So yes, you can practice sperm retention and make sure you're doing other things, yoga, qigong, to work with that energy. If
Yes.
not, then you need to come and just go ahead and
Yes.
come all over all the time, all over the place.
Although
Yeah.
it's interesting with men, is that even when they're older, if they hold it in for too long, they'll have like the adolescent wet dream as an adult. So
Mm-mm.
our body kind of just needs to release that stuff. It kind of builds up after a while. So, because I've gone a little period without ejaculating and it doesn't work. Like eventually, either you're gonna have a real strong sex dream where you'll just wake up kind of like, wait, what wasn't this when I was 14? This was supposed to happen. So it comes out one way or the other. But as far as what you do with the sperm after, yeah, you need to charge for those. We don't want to give away.
For those beauty treatments.
Yeah, if you want to do the Patreon, we'll do the extra.
Right. I remember my
Live.
the first time I did this, I read the book, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this. So I was with my boyfriend. We had sex, and he came, and I
Mhm,
just took it and I started rubbing it on my face and on my breast and all
mhm.
over. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm making my mask," and it was nice and firming. So going back to monogamy and polygamy and
Oh,
polyamorous relationships.
oh boy. Oh,
Oh man. So I am a little ADHD and I can go off topic. But yeah, we were waiting for some people to write some comments and things like that. Um, so far, I guess no one has any questions so far.
no,
Feel
you're
free,
right.
don't be
Slow time
scared.
for shy. I wonder how much people are just prepping for stuff compared to last week, because
That's true.
it's just everybody's just running around like crazy. So I can understand.
Yeah.
Things really changed from one week to the next, especially here in Brazil, because we were kind of making fun a lot of the Americans. Americans are panicking, and Americans are this. But although Brazilians are not panicking, thank God. Although I mean it's still early, but you definitely feel it. You definitely feel that hey, they're realizing you just need to sit at home. You probably got a bunch of people watching their Netflix right now,
Yeah.
not doing what
Yeah.
they're usually up to on a Monday night, which is fine. Because what's cool about these is that people can always check it out after. But
True. True.
do you want to get into some of the heavier topics? Because we
Yes.
can really talk about, I found two articles that I thought were interesting and we're not going to go into everything because there's a lot of things here. One that I found was 7 things you need to know before entering into a polyamorous relationship.
Hmm.
And the other was 30 ways to ask, but we're not going to go into all 30, but I think
Okay.
two of these are kind of interesting. But
Okay.
going back to definitions, how would you define, polyamorous versus open? I think
So
question, polyamorous versus open.
polyamorous versus open. Okay. Yeah, so this
Hmm.
is what so I were kind of talking about this last week, right? So polyamorous is more of like what embraces um basically consensual relationships in all different whatever form it may be, right? So
Hmm.
people who are polyamorous um is not about trying to say, okay, this is one way, this is the only way that you have to do it. So polyamory is about, okay, consensual relationships, however shape that or form it might take. Open relationships. So this is the thing that makes it just so, in my mind, what I was saying last week, when you're in a polyamorous relationship, you're in a relationship with one person, but you also have another partner, that could be in that relationship with you, or you could just have two partners or three partners. So it's like you by yourself with each of them, or you can be in a partner and have like a triad or four people in a relationship. Open relationships are where it's just more open and you're in a relationship with someone and you can go out and have sex with somebody else if you want or enter into another relationship. But I think the thing that makes the difference is within any relationship, that couple has to define what does this open relationship look like? What does it mean for both of us? Or what type of polyamorous relationship we're going to be in. So I hope, does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Uh, I kind of agree with you. Polyamorous, not always just about sex, can be a little bit deeper. Can be, like you said, you can create a triad or a quartet. I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of more about everybody's on the same team trying to get things to work. Whereas open relationship is more, you can have an outside sexual relationship,
Hmm.
but you're not necessarily looking to form a relationship with somebody
Right.
else. It's just, okay, you're free to have a night out and enjoy yourself, just come back home after. So they're similar, but I think polyamory may have a little bit more of an emotional investment.
Connection. Hmm.
Yeah, which sometimes can be harder, sometimes can be easier. I don't know, it depends. But I'm gonna just run down a few of these and I guess we can talk about it. Like, I'm getting this is from a Mary Claire article, and I
Okay.
guess I can send the link in here if anybody wants to check it out later. Mary Claire. And one, it's not all about sex. This is so true. When you're in these type of relationships, it's not all about sex. It's about, like you said, a lot, trust, finding different avenues inside the relationship as far as emotional, um, like emotional trust between the two people. Obviously, sex is part of it, and exploring sexuality, but I don't think it's the main part of it. Sometimes you just feel like a person. I don't know. You tell me what you think, Renee. But I think a lot of times we're taught, or we're kind of force fed this idea that that special person, like Jerry Maguire, you complete me, and I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I think there can be somebody that can fulfill, let's say, 90% of what you want in a partner, but I don't think anybody can really fulfill 100% of what you want. And I'm talking about just on an emotional, intellectual, just you are a really cool person level. I don't think anybody is able to completely fulfill that, which is why I think we have social circles. We have different friends. We have friends for different reasons. It doesn't lessen you, like Renee, that I
Right.
love talking about this about. If I also have my other friend who loves talking about football, or that I can get off on my Star Trek with, it doesn't lessen anybody. It's just that you can't fulfill 100% of what I'm into, and I don't expect you to. So I don't know why it is that we magically get this idea that when we enter into a relationship, that's going to happen. I don't think
Right.
it's realistic. So polyamory, or an open relationship, just kind of lets you explore a little bit of that, but within the relationship side of the deal.
Right. Right. Yeah, I definitely don't think that anyone can complete another person. I think that if you're looking for someone to make you happy or complete you, then it's a never ending task. It's not going to
Hmm.
happen. You can only make you happy. You can complete you. And so I feel like, that's one of the things when you're in a polyamorous relationship or open relationship. Yeah, you can find different people that can connect to you at different levels. It doesn't take away from anyone else. At the
Hmm.
same time, you could be in a monogamous relationship with one person and you get maybe 70% of your needs met, 80%, 90%. Who knows? But then that other time you're doing stuff for yourself and you're working on yourself, or you're enjoying your life, you're enjoying yourself. So there's no right way or wrong way. I think that the
Hmm.
most important thing is that you're completing yourself, you're doing what you need, and whether the what makes you happy within a relationship or what you enjoy doing, you can either find one person to do that with, or you can find two or three or four.
Yes.
You know, so
But
that's my
no,
take
go
on
ahead.
that.
No,
Hmm.
go ahead. Uh, oh my God, I think I'm sitting on something that I shouldn't be sitting on. I'm sorry.
The dildo, did it
Yeah.
somehow fall
Oh
under
no.
you?
Yes, no. At certain moments in this broadcast, I think it's important for us to remember that exactly what Renee said. You can find ways to please yourself when the 10 to 20% isn't met. Very important to be clear about that. Nobody's
Yes,
going to be able to fulfill everything that you need fulfilled. Understand what you're doing. So, polyamory involves other people and their emotions. So, it's crucial to consider why you're doing it and whether it's for the right reason. And I guess this goes into, hey, if you just want to screw around and be a slut, don't get into a polyamorous relationship
right,
for those reasons. I think that's cool. I want to read this book because I like how she put the ethical slut. Because in a
yeah,
way, society does see you as slutty for sleeping around, but there's got to be some ethics to it. So it's so important to not do it just so you can, fuck a lot, and also don't do it just because you want to fix something or you don't want to fix yourself.
right,
You really have to be strong in knowing what you need from yourself, what you need from your partner, and be extremely clear about that before you enter into any sort of relationship like that or experience like that, because otherwise there will be a lot of hurt feelings and it may
true,
actually destroy your relationship. Like, just boom.
true.
Now we have here, be open to changing the way you think, obviously. Okay, if you're gonna enter into an open scenario, you have to just at least try, be open to try it or not. Because I think that's something Renee and I are stressing so much. Man, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So if you're
Right,
just not into it, good. Nothing against you. Um, but if you're curious, then just be open and say, hey, I mean, it might turn out to be good. What's the worst that can happen, right?
right.
Um, four, they have get organized. Now, this is very important if you're in a polyamorous relationship because you're dealing with more than one person. It's difficult enough to organize with just one person. Imagine with three or more.
See, now that
So,
that would be my hard thing,
yes.
because I fall, and I fall hard, and I fall deep,
Uh-huh.
and I'm very much a person that, like, I don't know, like, it's hard. So, like, if it's hard for me to be like, okay, today I'm like all such, and then 2 hours later such and such, and then maybe 4 hours later such and such, and I'm going out with these different people. Like, it's hard for me. So, like, my last relationship that was polyamorous, it was good. Like, it worked out. I didn't have issues. I didn't have jealousy. We talked through things, and it was great. But I couldn't see myself having a whole nother full relationship with someone else. So
Mhm.
at times I would go out and I was with someone else, but like that was it. Like, I couldn't do a whole relationship. Like, it was just too much. Too much. So
I agree. I've been in open relationships. I've never been in an polyamorous one, mainly for that reason. I don't know if I could juggle it because it's intense.
mm,
Um, just dealing with myself is difficult enough. Forget
right?
person
Right?
number two.
Who was that was on here last week that said they could barely have a relationship with one person?
I, I'm
Someone that
I
made that
feel them.
comment last
I feel
week.
them because I'm more or less that. I mean, I just think, like, imagine if I had a relationship just with myself. I don't know where my keys are half the time. I don't know what time this is, that is. I mean, I'm focused so much just on work. And I'm like, good Lord. So then I have to add a second person to the deal, like my random ass from last week. We're trying to make it work, but I don't know. Like, I'm at the point where I'm trying to see if this is something that can really work between us. We've been together since the end of last year, like mid-December.
Mhm.
But it's rough, dude. I got a lot of issues that I got to deal with myself, with work, now with this corona bullshit and people
Mhm.
canceling this, canceling that. Where's money coming from? I don't got time for another person in my life.
Right.
So imagine a third, fourth, or fifth. Good Lord.
Mm.
Now, I wouldn't mind if it was like some rich sugar daddy and I could be, number four, number five of the harem.
Let's
depending depending on how much I
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Can I have that same rich sugar daddy?
I know that
I,
I got no problems. I
I
don't gotta think about
right,
anything. I got
right?
my allowance every month. Let's do it.
Let's
Uh
do it. But I can't be fourth or fifth. I got to be second or third.
all right, whatever. I mean, everybody got their standards. If the money's coming in, I wouldn't mind being fourth or fifth because I really wouldn't want to put that much work in as long as the money's coming in.
True. Good
If you're
point.
fourth or fifth, you don't gotta put that much work in. You just like gotta show up at least once a week and just
All right.
show that, yeah, I love you. Of course, I love you, Daddy. And then go on with life. Anyway, number five, we talked already about this at length. Learn to communicate. Abby says that discussion is crucial in making these type of relationships work. You need to discuss things openly and create a safe space for all lovers involved.
Yes.
That's I think that should have been number one. I don't know why it was number five.
Yeah.
Because if you can't communicate, if you can't say that, look, I think that you're getting too intimate with this person, or I thought that this was going to be just a screwing around thing, but now it's like it seems like you're seeing so and so much too often. If you're not able to communicate these type of things that do come up, and we'll get to that in a bit, then you're screwed. I
Right.
mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You really are.
Right. Very true. Very true.
And then six, it's something else that we've been saying is that polyamory is not a criticism of monogamy at all. So relationships are ever changing, but love is not. That means that the monogamy is just part of my life as polyamory. So if you're happy being in a monogamous relationship, all power to you. We love you. And
And
there's
that was really that's a really good point. Like relationships are always changing. Love doesn't. Love is there. I mean, love is just what we're all here on earth to do and to feel and to experience. And so it's like, why limit yourself? Why? I mean, we got so much
hmm
love to share. And I'm not being a proponent of any one thing, not at all. Each
hmm
person has to decide for themselves. Um, but like relationships are fluid, they're always changing. Love isn't, love is always there. And I've always said, you know, once I love someone, I always love them, even if we're not together anymore.
hmm
I've had many lovers, but doesn't mean I'm going to stop loving you. Maybe a relationship doesn't work for some reason, but if I truly loved you, that's not going to go away.
It's
So
just a different form of love, maybe.
different forms
Just
of love, yes.
different form of love. And then last here is that there is no traditional family. So some people can be happy in the nuclear family, man, wife, want to have kids, the little dog. But for polyamorous people, this could be done one. This could be one of the ways, by all means, but it's not the only way. So it's not that different from monogamy. The only difference is that when two people enter a traditional monogamous relationship, they are choosing to be part of a set of societal norms. It's important to understand this, and it begs to answer the question: is there any wrong way to love someone? And I agree with their answer. There really isn't. I mean, if you're
Right.
consenting adults, you can kind of love each other however you see fit. And we may never understand all of them. I always think of Oprah when I think of that. I mean, you never see Stedman, she's just kind of Oprah. You think of
Mhm.
her as a single woman, and she has no
Mhm.
kids. And when they ask her about her kids, she mentions her dogs
Mhm.
and dudes in the background. It's, I mean, there's even, I think because of this, people always try to bring up kind of gossip that she's a lesbian and then it's her and Gail got something going on.
Mhm.
But who are we to know? I mean, she seems like she's pretty sure of herself, I
Right.
imagine, right? Oprah. Kinda, I think Oprah knows who Oprah is, $1 billion Oprah is. So that's just her choice, and it's just how she's choosing to live her life. Who are we to say that it's wrong or it's right? And if it's working, I mean, Stedman is still there, but I mean, I think most black men in America wouldn't mind being Stedman.
Right?
Remember, did you used to watch the Chappelle show? I think he had a skit
Yes.
where like he found out that he was Oprah's baby daddy, and then he quit his job. He's like, fuck you, everybody, and then he goes. And then the next scene, he's in the bathtub, and Oprah calls like, "What's up, Oprah? What's up, honey? What do you need?" Because that's
That's
like
funny.
every man's dream to be
Oh yeah.
Oprah's
Oh
husband,
yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Oh, so funny.
So
And I
that.
like that, and I like that example that you gave because it's so true. It's like that's one of the things. Oprah's an inspiration in that area, in that sense that she could do her thing regardless of what other people say or think. You
Mhm.
know, I don't think she ever married Stedman. Um, in a relationship with him, she could be in a relationship with him and Gail. Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's not. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing. Like we have to think. Where does our judgments come from when we're judging other people because of the type of relationship they choose? You
Mhm.
know, and I was just reading something in a Buddhist book or something like that, or no, it is actually the Tantra Experience from Osho. I was just reading that book, and he talks about really becoming an observer of yourself. Like, stop being an observer of what other people are doing. Stop observing and judging other people. Those are just distractions because you don't want to one work on yourself or grow. Um, but he was like, it's so important to stop observing and judging other people and observe yourself. And it's
Mhm.
like the more you do, the more you're going to kind of learn, okay, where are these thoughts coming from? Why am I judging someone? Is it because I have a low self esteem? Is it because I feel bad about myself? Is it
Yes.
because I was conditioned to think that this was the only way that relationship should be? But
Mm.
where does this conditioning come from? It comes out of fear, it comes out of dominating and trying to control us. And
Yes.
so, you know, um, and then also traditionally, you have that. You have this was instilled in us to be in monogamous relationships to dominate and control us, but also it was also part of um, just for like financial stuff, financial reasons. Okay, I can't afford to take care of 4 or 5 wives or husbands, so things began to change a little bit later. So but mean that that's the way it was supposed to be. And for me, I don't feel like there is supposed to be any type of way. I think it all depends on where you're at in a given moment, what you're feeling, what your needs are in that given moment. And the most important thing is to be honest and do a self evaluation as to where you are, why, and what does these thoughts come from? Where do these thoughts come from?
I love that. And I studied Buddhism for a while, so I kind of get into that to kind of look inward instead of outward. I was trying to look for a quote by Descartes or
Mm.
Descartes, however you pronounce that.
Rene
And
Descartes?
yeah, and
Yeah.
Renee. But he talks about that in one of his little, philosophical treatises, where he says that it's just illogical for us to be looking outward, looking at what people have,
Hmm.
and instead we should just be looking inward and be kind of make the best with what we got, and not focus on what others have, because what others have is what others have. It's not going to
Right.
change what you have, right?
Right. Exactly.
The most you can do is, um, is this it right here? Lisa, let me just stop just looking at this. So it says, I hope Descartes and other revolutionary thinkers, their task was to tell people to stop just looking at the world and to think about why things happen. But anyway, yes, the idea is if you are trying to get into this sort of relationship, you have to look inward first, understand why you're getting into it, understand what it means for you, even before you bring it up to your partner. And if you're in a monogamous relationship, don't judge. Or if you're in a polygamous one or polyamorous one and your friends are monogamous, don't judge, because everybody
Yeah.
has different ways of loving. So, you know, you got to take care of yourself. And then, real
Right.
quick, I think this is really important here is how to ask, how to go about it. So I'll just run quickly through it because there's a lot here. But first, starts with you, which is exactly what I was just talking about. You got to do soul searching. You have, if you're having problems in a relationship, then just saying, "Hey, let's get into an open relationship" is not going to solve it.
Mm-mm.
It could, it might, it could not, but you really have to ask yourself, what are the real problems going on in a relationship if I want to get into one, or why do I want to be in an open relationship? Got to be honest with yourself. Like Renee asked me at the beginning of the podcast, why I kind of like them. And I had to think about it. In a way, okay, I like to be a freak. That could be, just like the basic reason. And then the others is that I think it builds a certain type of trust within two people that I appreciate. And like I said, when the green light is on, sometimes it makes me stop even more than if I feel this pressure of I can't allow, I feel as if somebody's not allowing me to be totally open about my sexuality and what I'm into, what I'm not into. So I think that's important. Make sure the time is right. Obviously, if you just got in a relationship with somebody, maybe it's not the right time, or maybe it's the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to do both. Nowadays, Renee, I don't know, tell me what your thoughts are on this, but in the social media world with Tinders and Badu's and wherever you're go Cupid or Jew date, wherever it is you're looking for somebody to be in a relationship with, it's so easy to just kind of just reject somebody and just press
Mm-hmm.
block. In a way, it's kind of sucks, but in the other way, I kind of appreciate it because you can kind of lay it all out. And I tend to do
Right.
that. If I meet somebody, if I'm talking to somebody that I met in a WhatsApp group, I'll just ask them straight up. First, I'll be like, "Wow, you're really cute. What do you have a job?" Get the important stuff out of the way.
Right.
Then I'll be like, "Hey, are you into threesomes?" Actually, I did that last night. I was talking to somebody and I just asked, "Are you into threesomes?" And he's like, "I think he said he was." Okay, but sometimes they're like, "No, I prefer one-on-one," and I'm like, "Okay, maybe this is not the right person." I'm not gonna X them out completely because hey, I've been in monogamous and I can dig monogamous. But if I'm not in a monogamous mood and I want to get to know somebody, I'd like to know that that option is open. So that's one way to open it up a little bit to say, okay, at least this
Mm-hmm.
person is open sexually. The next step would be, hey, how do you feel about open relationships? Are you into it? Are you not? Actually, I had this conversation with my random ass from last week, which I like so much. He's such a cutie pie, and real sweet. But he said, yeah, but maybe not right now. We're just start getting to know each other, so maybe it's something that we could be more open about in the future.
That's
So these
awesome.
are all cool things that you need to. I like getting it out of the way as soon as possible because then, like I said, in today's social media, I mean, it sucks that you can just block somebody just because you can.
Mhm.
But in the other way, it kind of facilitates these sort of conversations because you say, hey, I'm into this, I'm not into that. In the gay world, like I'm a bottom. Oh, I'm a bottom too. Goodbye. So
Right.
there's a lot of stuff that you can just get rid of and get right to the meat of it. So I don't know your thoughts about that. When you should tell somebody.
Oh man, so I think soon, pretty soon, not like a year into the relationship. I think definitely within the first couple of dates, there should be a talk. Again, I know that I shared last week, with my ex. He told me right in the beginning, we were friends first, but then soon as it started looking like, okay, we're gonna start dating, and I was like, I let him know I was interested in him. He was like, "Hey, I don't do traditional relationships." So that was like before we even, really officially got in a relationship or anything. So I think it's important, and I just like what you said. I like that because, you know, maybe it's good to know right off the beginning, because if this person is not open and you know that you're going to need a polyamorous relationship at some point, or maybe you might even just want to be monogamous, but um, if the person is closed right from the beginning, then it might be hard for you to develop something more. So it really is important to talk about it early on. I think first date, second date, the latest third date. That's kind of way too
Yeah, that's
long.
too
Like,
way too long.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So it has
Uh,
to be first or second date,
I got
in
yeah.
my
I
opinion.
No, I feel you. I think things like that need to be brought up as soon as possible, even sometimes before you meet, if you're meeting people via apps, which today is totally cool. It's so weird because back in my day, if you met somebody on the internet, it was like loser, but
Right.
nowadays it's like everybody's meeting everybody off the internet or off of some dating app. And it's so cool because you can just kind of get it all out, right even before you meet somebody. Like, what are you into? Oh, I'm into this, not this. Da, 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 da. And you're like, okay, cool. So just let it all out, people, as soon as possible. Obviously, you should emphasize that you're committed to the relationship that you're in, that whatever you do outside doesn't negate anything that you have. Set ground rules. I think this is the most important once both parties say yes. Because yeah, man, that's where the real problems begin if you didn't set ground rules. Because maybe in your mind, open relationship is, I can have two girlfriends or two boyfriends. And in your partner's mind, it's, hey, you have one boyfriend or girlfriend, but every once in a while, if you want to fuck, feel free. Or one rule that I had with somebody is, hey, you can do it, just I don't want to know about it, because I knew that I
Right.
would be able to I would get real jealous, and vice versa. And it worked. And then one time he kind of slipped and told me, and I was like, oh my God, why are you telling me this? And I just breathe, breathe, breathe. And then I just told him, listen, I really don't need to know about anything that you're doing. And he understood. You can have, I mean, there's a myriad of schemes that you can have.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's open relationship and hey, let's bring the third person into the bed with us. Other times it's totally open that hey, this is the person, but I have my life over here, or I have my relationship over here with her. I have my relationship over here with you, but it's never gonna connect at any point. One time that I got in trouble was when I had a friend. Well, now he's a friend, but we were together for quite some time, and he brought it up. Let's have an open relationship, and I was like, or just have fun tonight. And I was like, okay, cool. But man, the minute that he saw that when I got to the club, I was like, green light, here I go. And I was
Hmm.
talking to other people. He got really pissed. And then he was
Wow.
like, I can't believe that you did this. And I was like, oh man, it's a trap. It's like from Star Wars.
Right.
it's a trap. It's a trap. So,
Mhm.
please, you know, my mistake was that we really didn't discuss it that deeply before we did it. So if your partner brings it up, let's have an open relationship. Please, please, please sit down, talk, have some real ground rules, because you may be like, woohoo! And they may actually not be trying to trap you, and seeing, hey, what are they willing to do? But it's that thing that we said at the beginning, the moment that theory versus practice. If
Mhm.
you see your loved one kissing somebody or more and you don't feel some type of way, then you might need to have your heart checked. It's
Yeah, right,
gonna create some type of emotion in you.
right,
So the
sure,
conversation and the ground rules and seeing what you want or doesn't want is going to mitigate that and even create some positive emotions in the end. So I think that's so important.
right.
Ground rules.
So
Uh,
important.
did you have when did you have any ground rules when you and your ex said, "Hey, let's have open relationships," or no? What
Yeah,
were
yeah,
your
no, yeah, we did. So, with my ex that we lived with, I too didn't want to know anything.
Mhm.
So we never really talked about any of the other partners. He did have one other partner, which was kind of like we were both kind of partners, like in terms of, I don't know, I kind of sort of almost on equal level, but not really. I don't know. It's kind of hard to be on equal level, but he wasn't able to have any other partners other than us two, but can just kind of have sex with other people. I particularly didn't want to have other partners, so I just kind of had relationships here and there, like in terms of if I felt like I wanted to have sex with someone, I could. Um, but we agreed to not talk to the other about any of that. So his other partner, I didn't know of. I've never met, but I knew of, and he talked about that partner, but anyone else, no. Like the other people that he just went off and had sex with, I didn't want to know.
Then let me run through real quick because it's getting late. But one tip is talk to a therapist. I don't know if you want to do that. Think about motivations we brought up. Again, don't do it just because you need an escape. Because I mean, then you just might as well just cheat on your partner. I mean, it's going to be more or less the same thing.
Right.
Um, remember, it's not going to fix your problems. Okay, so if you argue or fight a lot in a relationship, you have to have great communication to make it work. Consider the possibilities, obviously. Don't
Hmm.
use it as a transition for breaking up because that's just a shitty thing to do. Just break up. Be clear about boundaries, which we just talked about. Are we allowed to date other people or just hook up? That goes into like ground rules. You can have a trial period, baby steps. Get ready for a lot of emotions. Obviously, like we just said, it can get messy. I mean, the heart does its own thing sometimes. Communication is everything. Don't pressure your partner. They may not be ready for it, or they may never be ready for it. In which case, you have to look at yourself and realize: is this a relationship I want to be in, or not? Explain the benefits of an open relationship with your partner, which we talked a lot about. There are definite benefits to it, and reassure them that it's not about them, that you love them, you're into them, and it can actually strengthen your relationship, which is the next thing that you could tell them. Talk about protection, obviously, because there's a lot of STDs out there. Check with your friends if you can find any friends, or you can join Facebook groups on polyamory. Take it slow, bring up a success story, speak to like minded couples, explain why you think it's beneficial to you, and always be honest. Remember that making a lifestyle change isn't easy. Don't force it. Consider future emotions and remind them of why you love them. And obviously, the last is be open. So these are just, real quick tips. I can put this in the chat for anybody who wants to look at it later because I really like this article. Because sometimes the hardest thing is just bringing it up to your partner that you want
Yeah.
to be in these type of relationships, because they may feel a certain kind of way. They may feel like, oh my God, am I not good looking enough? Am I not fulfilling them? Am I not this? Am I not that? And it's like, dude, it has nothing to do with that. It's just, I need to explore. Some people just need to
Right.
explore. They're explorers, and
Right.
you can't limit those people. And it just might be not for you, and then good. You guys already, you can go your separate ways. But if it's for you, then you can take those baby steps, see if it works out, and understand that anything that happens isn't because the person's trying to do you wrong. So
Right.
but then it's important for the person bringing it up to let that other person know that, look, this is not because I want to cheat on you, or because I don't love you, or because I'm not into you in all the possible ways. It's just something that I'm into, and you can be into it or not, and you know we can all be happy.
Right.
Yes,
That was well said. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Whew, that was a lot.
it was a
But
lot.
yeah, and I think one of the things at the end that you were saying, one of the last statements, is we have to remember, if we are in a open relationship, polyamorous relationship, someone loving someone else doesn't take away or mean that they love you any less. So it's so important, I think, that if you're ready to explore this, you and a partner, just knowing that your partner can love someone else and still love you just as much, that does not have to diminish. Um, so just working through um, whatever emotions come up for you, whether you're in a monogamous relationship or polyamorous relationship. Jealousy will come up, it will rear its ugly head, and it's just about, okay, looking at those emotions. Okay, where is this coming from? um, am I jealous because of insecurities about me? Am I jealous because, my dad cheated on my mom? Whatever it may be, like really taking an honest look and seeing where's that coming from. And then
Hmm.
meditate on it. Meditate on it. See what you can do to let it go. Do some rituals to release it. Talk to your partner. um, Everything that you need to do to be able to get to that understanding of where these emotions are coming from, and how to get it under control, so to speak. So I think that's just so important to do. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm with you, man. When emotions come up, it's so easy for us to look outward when really we need
Yeah.
to look inward and
Right.
realize, hey, what is it about ourselves that's creating these emotions? Especially if it's something that clearly, I mean, obviously, some things are clear. Like somebody pushes you out of the way, you're a motherfucker. I know why I'm angry. It's got nothing to do with me,
Right.
right?
Right.
But with some more delicate subjects, where it's clear that the other person isn't doing something that's obviously incorrect or rude or overstepping bounds, hey, that's the time where you got to reflect and be like, what
Right.
is going on within myself that's not making me feel happy in this moment? And you feel better afterwards, and then you can communicate with your partner. And I think it it liberates your partner too, because the worst thing
Right.
you do is keep somebody chained up, keep somebody as a
Yeah.
prisoner of your desires and your wants. Hey, look, this is how I'm feeling, and even if it is because my mom cheated on my dad or vice versa, and that is not rational for me to feel this way now, but it's how I feel now. So I don't know if I can do this. So you, by being open about wanting to be in a polyamorous relationship, gave that person the opportunity to be that, which is so important. You need to allow people to be able to express themselves and be as open as you are being
Mhm.
open.
Yeah.
So it's communication's key in the end.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
key. I think
Yes.
do you want to go on, or I think because it's
I
like
think we're good. It's been like almost an hour and a
we're almost an
half.
hour and a half. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we
But
pretty much
yeah, I
hit
think.
all the
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
More
yeah. I
wine.
think we hit all the important points, the important keys, and so um, thank you for coming on. Those who came on and listened. We didn't have as many questions as we did last time, but people were coming in and out. And just kind of summarizing the most important, really the most important thing is being able to communicate, being able to express how you're feeling. And I think that's what you were saying at the end,
Mhm.
just kind of like expressing what you're feeling and what you need. And doing that in a way where we're not blaming someone and saying, you did this and it made me feel this way. No, this is what I'm feeling. Um, and I went in, I looked within. I believe that this is where it's coming from, and just having that communication, and then even looking at, okay, what can you do differently, and seeing, okay, is this relationship working or not? If it's not, what can I do differently? So those are just some important things. So, going within, looking, not judging, honest and open communication. Those are big keys. And just knowing that we're here to love, we're here to transform and to grow and to go deeper into love and how we love. So whatever that means for you, whether it's in a monogamous relationship, polyamorous relationship, just kind of staying true to that, to learning and opening up to love. So that's my take.
I'm with you. My take is the same. And as somebody that's been in strictly monogamous relationships, ones that have been open, others that have been like, we want to always, we would invite a third party to the party.
Hmm.
They're all different. And in some, I kind of wish that I had gone about it differently. I think the relationship would have lasted longer. So you learn from your mistakes in the
Yeah.
same, and just as any other type of relationship. So if
Right.
you decide to go polyamor or open and then it doesn't work out, don't blame it on the polyamor or the
Right.
open. It's just like any relationship. Two people just alone don't work out sometimes because you tried.
Right.
So if it's something that is in your heart to want to try, to want to do, I'm one of those that says, "Hey, man, be true to thyself.
Yes.
If you feel you're that type of person, it's not something that's gonna go away.
Right.
So you
Right.
have
So
to start
explore.
finding. Yeah, you got to explore. You got to find communities of people that are into it. And again, internet is fucking awesome. There's a group out there for you. Be open. If you're on dating apps, say into open relationships, just be open about it. And the cool thing, and we brought this up a little bit last week, is nowadays, man, people aren't as judgmental about it. So they're either gonna say they're either gonna swipe right or swipe left. That's the worst that's gonna happen.
Right.
And eventually you'll meet somebody that's on the same wavelength. And if not, then then not. That's
Yeah.
no different than any other relationship.
Yes. True. 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 Well, this is cool. This was nice. It was good having you again, Phil. Thank you
I
so
had
much.
fun.
So share again how people can connect to you and tell us about your nerd page.
Oh, look at this. I actually prepped, as you could see by a lot of
Your
my
name.
articles and stuff. So let
Hmm.
me share real quick. First off, yeah, as you can see, I put the oh my God, I hope I don't have anything bad on my screen. But anyway, here we go. Can you see this? This is my Instagram, São Paulo Tours. I don't know if it's showing or not.
Yeah, I just added to the screen. Hmm.
Cool. So Sao Paulo Tours is the first way you can find me. I just post pictures in and around Sao Paulo. I'm all over the place. I do some tours of Sao Paulo, a lot of street art. And so you can reach me there, especially if you want to do a tour of Sao Paulo. I can take you to a lot of cool places. Second is my blog, Brazusa, which is on the little banner there, and where I write about my experiences here in Brazil. So BRAZ for Brazil, USA for America, because I was raised in America. And
Mm-hmm.
then the last that you can look at to find me is the Bridge Point, where we talk films, TV, and entertainment. So that's the nerd channel. Right now, we're heavy on Star Trek Picard, but Westworld just began. So a friend of mine, and I are about to get down and dirty doing some post Westworld videos. And maybe even some Walking Dead, because that got interesting all of a sudden again. So those are the three ways you can find me, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you, Renee, for having me, because you're fucking awesome. You know,
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So for me, you can find me at on Instagram at Prandata Prem. That's PRANDHARAPREM. I also have, actually, really honestly, have like 5 Instagram accounts. I have another Instagram account, Black Rome Experience. So
you're a
that's
lot of
Black
women. That's why you.
Rome. Oh man, I am a lot of woman. So y'all gotta keep up with me now. You gotta keep up. So those are 2 of my accounts. I do have like Sacred Soul Retreat for my retreat, Sleep Before You Look. But Black Rome Experience, that's just from when I was on Soledad O'Brien. Matter of fact, talking about living in Brazil. And then my Prandata Prem is my main site where I'm talking about my tantric therapy, my work with couples, with in relationships, with all of that. So you can find me there. Then I also have my website, www.prandataprem.com, where you could go to see what events I'm hosting, what workshops, what retreats, and there you have it. So I hope to
Cool.
see you guys in live in one of my retreats, workshops, in person or online. Oh, online, I'm doing a 21-day breathing challenge beginning tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST time. Let me see if I can put that information on there. And it's really about just kind of helping people to just relax. So many people are getting anxiety attacks, panic attacks with the coronavirus. So I just want to do something that's free to just breathe together, come together, and just relax. So let me see if I could get that right now from Zoom. And
That's such a cool thing with the breathing.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just so important, like um, when we get so stressed out, we forget to breathe. We forget, what's important to us. So I just wanted to do this to just really connect with people again. Okay, so there we go. I put it in there. Let me write the full thing out. So
I'm trying to find on my WhatsApp that you sent it. Uh-huh. Where is it? Oh, there you go. The free online course. Oh, my computer's not connected though.
yeah. So I'm excited. I have tons of people that has already signed up for this. So and we're just gonna keep it going. I have over 40 people already, and this is the largest online course that I'm doing so far, and it's going to be online, and then I'm going to teach you how to do breath work, give you some positive affirmations, motivational tools, and then for the next 21 days we're just going to meet and breathe together. send positive vibrations to this earth, and just to help
There you go.
strengthen each other, strengthen one another, and have a support group so we can make it
What
through this
time is
time.
it gonna happen exactly?
1 p.m. EST time or 2 p.m. Brazil time.
Okay, cool. And can people join in even if they can't do every single day? Can you hop into day 3 or day 4? Or do you
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
start from
you
the
can.
beginning?
The first day is going to be important because that's, I'm going
Mhm,
to I'm going to like teach you, this breathing technique. And then
mhm,
from there on, it's good if they can. If not, no big deal. I'm going to record it all 21 days so they can watch
mhm.
it, from wherever
Cool.
they are and do it when they can. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because I want to join in, but I can't tomorrow. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my screw my life days because I have like zero time to do anything. But if
Okay.
I can get
Well,
in,
register, and
mhm,
tomorrow I will be recording it via Zoom. And so as
mhm.
long as you're registered, I can send you the link.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love it. I love breathing. I think it's so important, and I teach my little brothers how to do it because they need it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
It
they
really
need
is
a lot of.
important.
I know, and it's incredible how when you breathe and you focus on the breath, you just
Hmm.
focus on everything around you. I need that. Where I do a lot of breathing
Hmm.
is when I'm on the metro here in Sao Paulo. It seems like a joke, but it's really you need it, because if
Hmm.
not, you will have anxiety attacks in the
Right.
metro here, especially the areas where you do the transfer. So
Yeah.
you just have to slow down, breathe, and count your breaths. You get through it, and before you know it, you'll have another metro to go into that's totally packed.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right,
All
cool.
right. Well,
Denise.
you guys
Good.
have a good night. It was great again, Phil. Thank you so much for coming back on. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and sharing what you researched. And we'll have to come back on and do another live soon. You know, we'll give a little bit of space in between to not,
Uh-huh.
just keep doing this. But yeah, definitely come back and we'll talk some more.
Cool. And I'm still thinking of some kinky sci-fi stuff to invite you on my channel to talk about. I might send you a couple movies to watch and see what your reactions are.
Okay, perfect.
Kinky sci-fi, Barbarella.
All
And
right. So
Tiffany.
if you're watching and you please give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe so you can get more of my YouTube videos and see my lives. So don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool. Oh, and Renee, and I always
Mhm.
forget this when I do my own videos. Hit the little bell. Hit the little bell because the bell gives you a notification of when you're on. And I only learned that about like 2 months ago. So now I always remember to say hit the little bell. So you get to see Renee's videos because I get updates when her videos are on. So it's cool. So I always watch them. Um, even more than subscribe, hit the bell because then you get notifications. Renee's on and you got to watch. And her channel is really cool. So hit the little bell.
Awesome.
That should be like, I guess it's there on the left side of the screen.
Thank you, thank you. I that's actually a good point. I need to do that with people that I've subscribed to. Hit the bell, and
Yes. I didn't know
yeah,
what that bell was there for the longest time.
I
Like, what the
know.
fuck is up with this bell? And then I realized, oh shit, that's just to let people know that, hey. So it's cool for channels that like yours that you do a lot of lives. Like channels where
Yeah,
people kind of just don't do lives, then I don't hit the bell. I just subscribe because it'll say new
all
video
right.
or something. But the bell is cool, especially for people that do a lot of lives like you. So
Yes.
definitely people support her channel because she's awesome.
Thank
She's
you so much.
awesome.
We're awesome.
We are. We are awesome.
Yes,
So it was all
we
good.
are. All right. So you guys have a good night. Also, check out my comments. I do have the 21-day free challenge. So check that out. Also, Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell. All right. You guys have a good night.
Awesome. Bye bye.
Awesome. Bye.
I can't do it.